What's up, brohams and brohamettes? I'm Travis James. I play College Guy in Season 1, Episode 3, and you guys are watching and listening to the Karate Kid Fanatics
Kind of a
podcast.
tiring week, but yeah,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
doing
I
all
feel
right.
that.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
how did you initially get into acting?
oh man, I I started doing theater when I was about 12. I was in a musical called Into the Woods, and back then it was mostly just more about singing and just kind of like the performance aspect of it all. And I continued theater from age 12, and then just kind of fell into really hardcore fell into live stage acting. And then when I went to college in New York for musical theater, and I really just something about the straight acting programs that they offered at my
Yeah,
school just really spoke to me. I really kind of had these epiphanies about straight acting, and I'm from Atlanta, so when I came back, it just kind of made sense to sort of
yeah, absolutely.
test the waters with TV and film. Um, yeah, it was kind of a love story in that regard, man.
Yeah. So what was your audition process for Cobra Kai like?
Yeah, Cobra Kai, yeah. So, and this was, wow, auditioning for
2017?
season, yeah, 2017, was when, yeah, because it was shot in October of, or my scene was October of 2017. Um, but yeah, it was, it was about late summer, and I was having a lot of auditions being thrown my way, and so here's the thing, because I feel so stupid in hindsight. It's like I always knew Cobra Kai, or I always knew Karate Kid, and then I knew what Cobra Kai
Yeah,
was in Karate
absolutely.
Kid.
Yeah,
There were a lot of projects that had working titles that weren't necessarily, it wasn't necessarily the title that it was going to become.
like Project W or something like that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I saw Cobra Kai, and I don't know. I guess I was dumb. I didn't really like think, oh, this is going to be a Karate Kid reboot. I hadn't really heard about it.
Yeah,
So I had a couple of auditions for like I had like a waiter, like a country club waiter. Um, I there was another one. I'm trying to remember. Maybe like somebody in like character names either were changed, or because I remember when a lot of the audition sides came out, it was like neutral character names depending on what the audition was
yeah.
for. Um, and I cycled through a couple of those auditions, and by the time this one came around, I'd seen the title, and I just at that point I was not thinking Karate Kid,
Yeah.
And so I had this scene where I'm sort of telling this guy off, just kind of being a tool about it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I at that time, and I mean still to this day, but at that time I was auditioning for just all the same roles. Like it's all this like sort of cocky, like athletic
College
dude
guy
who,
type of thing.
yeah, who's just sort of like a guy that you want to punch in the face type of thing. And I think maybe that's why they cast me, is because I was just practicing that so much, and
Yeah.
that was happening so much. And actually did the because self tapes were happening a lot for season one, especially Atlanta people, because I'm from Atlanta, and I
Yeah.
came back to Atlanta after school, and actually because you need someone to read with you as a scene partner,
Yeah.
and it was actually my mom that did the audition
Yeah.
for Cobra Kai, yeah. And so I'm having to tell off my mom, so that kind of added to the fun of it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just the conveniency of the self tapes too, of already being in Atlanta, and I think they booked me right off tape. I don't remember doing like a callback for that one. I think they just sort of they liked the tape, and then just they
Yeah.
told me that I had the job.
Yeah. So what was it like filming that scene? Was it a 1 day shoot? Was it really cold? I don't know.
Yeah, it was one day. It was Halloween morning of 2017. Um, it was this the shooting went by so fast, and a lot of TV film sets they depending on what the scene is, depending on what it entails, even some of the most simple scenes can take, a very, very long time to shoot,
Yeah,
depending on,
absolutely.
the angles and the dialogue and all that stuff. So, but they really booked it. I mean, this set, the crew and everything is so efficient. And on top of that, everyone's so nice and friendly. And so it just made it a great experience. But yeah, it was, I feel like maybe we were there on set for 4 or less hours.
Yeah.
But it was, yeah, we got to set pretty early, like 7 or 8. And it was about 40 degrees. And
Yeah.
they put me in shorts and a tank top.
Everybody else had a
And
jacket
then,
on.
yeah, and everyone else is in like sweats. And if you go back and watch that, it's like there's nobody that's sleeveless,
Yeah.
or even like t-shirt. But yeah, even Johnny's got this like huge. I mean, it doesn't look huge in the final product, but like when
Yeah.
when I was there talking to him, it was just this like really heavy coat that he's got, that green jacket. Yeah, and like even all the extras, everyone's in like 2, 3 layers of like sweats
Yeah.
and stuff, and the guy I'm playing basketball with is in this like big tracksuit, you know. But they're selling the LA look.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
So it's like it looks like it makes sense, but at the time
Yeah.
at the time, yeah, it was very cold. I had to keep running to a space heater in between the shots. But yeah, but they made it so accommodating, and it was just it was a very nice experience to go through, even being cold, and especially Billy. I call him Billy because he told me to as soon as I got to set,
Yeah.
and well, he rode over to set with me, and he was asking me so many questions about myself and trying to bond with me over the place that I grew up. He knew somebody from that place, um, and he's one of the guys that I've worked with who, Cobra Kai or not, he's somebody that I've worked with that really sort of showed me that professionalism comes in making sure that everyone else around you is good,
Yeah.
or feels like they're having fun or friendly. It's not enough to just make sure that you know everything and to try to execute it
Absolutely. Yeah.
well, because that's the final product that you see. I feel like what happens on set, that's only like 15% of it.
Yeah. For
Um,
sure.
there's he was so cool. He was so nice, and he really made me feel like I was his family just being there.
Yeah.
And that's a professional. That's what you should do, because at the end of the day, it's like you're going to get the best result from this scene if everyone
For sure.
feels like you're all in on it together. But and then everyone around, the crew members and the director and the AD and all that stuff. Everybody was just so. It's just like you felt the creative juices flowing. And
Yeah. For sure.
Billy, like, you could tell, it's like at this point, it's like they have more funding and it's way more popular and everything. But you could just really tell the passion that he had about this project.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it's like you hear him in interviews talking about, it's like they came to him with the idea, him and Ralph, talking about, oh, should we do this? And how should we tell, from this different
Yeah.
perspective, and that he liked it and everything. But just his energy on the set, crazy early in the morning, really cold. It seemed like it's his baby. And just to be working with someone who's got that passion, that sort of vision on what's happening. It just it was a breeze. It just went by so fast. And I'm just really grateful for that. And I didn't, I mean, obviously Ralph wasn't in that scene. But when I got to set, like 5:30 or whatever it was, I went to hair and makeup and Ralph was sitting next to me for that. So
Dang. Yeah.
it's kind of something that woke me up. Um, which, I'm just glad for that. Cause he said like, he's very friendly. He said a few words to me. Um, but yeah, that was just much needed. It was just like a dream come true.
Oh yeah.
And
Definitely.
something that I tell people too is that it's like as actors, I feel like we always think about, oh, I love that show. I'm such a fan of that show. What would it be like for me to be on it? And it's really a learning experience to jump into something new where all you have to go on for the tone is just the script,
Yeah.
and it's to be in that and then later on become a fan of it. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's great and it's bad at the same time, because no matter how many times I rewatch the show, when my scene comes around, I kind of like take it out of context, and
Yeah,
it's just kind of like it's almost like impossible for me to feel myself in that
yeah,
universe. Um, but yeah, it was magic, man. And then yeah, in terms of that morning, it was Halloween, and everyone was just sort of like, I think everybody just kind of wanted to get out of the cold, and everyone wanted to get done with this scene, because it's like, we had all our ducks in a row, just a matter of execution.
for sure. Yeah,
And so, but there was, and before I was wondering, I was like, I wonder if they'll like do anything for Halloween. And there was a guy in the crew who was dressed as Teen Wolf, because the 80s, and so it's like, but no one else dressed up, so it was like the only guy.
yeah,
It's like there was a werewolf sound guy or whatever he was doing. So that was hilarious, and that kind of helped me, be in a good mood. But yeah, I mean, it was
yeah.
great. It was just amazing.
Yeah, I know you were only in season one, but what was it like? I'm sure a lot of your friends probably didn't see it on YouTube. So what was the move to Netflix kind of like?
Yeah, that's hilarious, because whenever I tell people the story, because when it was on YouTube, the first episode was free, and then it's
Yeah,
like, you needed YouTube Red, and then later on
nobody
YouTube
wanted to pay for
Premium.
that. Yeah,
Yeah. And so, and it was like you could do what do you call it? You could do like the
free
trial,
trial.
Yeah. Um, and so, and eventually the first two episodes were free. Uh, and then that was it. I don't think they made the third one free ever. And I was in the third episode. And so I would tell people, I'd say, hey, go on and see it. And they're like, well, yeah, it's at the beginning, right? And I was like, yeah, it's kind of close to the beginning. And they said, well, I don't pay for it, but the first two are free. And I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, well, sorry, I'm in the third. But that jump to Netflix, yeah, I mean, it's like this. I'm so happy to see that happen to such an ambitious project, because the scope of it. I mean, it's like, it had been out for, I don't
two
know
two and a
what,
half years. I
yeah,
mean, I
a
feel like
couple of years. And there were people who knew it, and there were people who loved it, and there were huge fans. But then once I guess that really just shows you what exposure can do to something, because it just became this huge phenomenon. And the reason that I'm the happiest about that is because, and I feel like in our culture of filmmaking, especially films, we do so many reboots and remakes of things
yeah,
that,
I
it's like,
agree.
and that draws a crowd, because you have, like, there've been so many, like, movies or shows that are rebooted 2-3 decades later, and you use the same cast, and so obviously people want to see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's so many of them. It's like the content's not very great, maybe the plot's not very great, maybe the dialogue's not great, and it's clear that they were just sort of trying to make money, rather than
Yeah, it's
actually,
a money
like,
grab. Yeah, I agree with
yeah,
what you're saying.
rather than, like actually create something
Like this.
worth watching,
Yeah,
and worth getting into and being a fan of, because it's not only important to just watch those actors again, but to maybe inspire somebody with how great that is to go back and watch the original stuff.
for sure.
And that's this. I mean, this show is like brilliant,
Yeah.
with the way that they're doing everything, and each season tops the last one
Oh yeah, I
so
agree.
well. And you don't even. It's like you watch a season. Like I watched season 2, and I was like, wow, there's like. I'm getting worried, because I don't know how they're going to top this. And then they did. They just like
Yeah,
doubled it, with the way that they used, the Karate Kid 2 characters in the third season. I mean, it was just so perfect. And even Allie, even the character of
yeah,
Allie, the way they used her was perfect. They didn't do it too much, too little. So Elizabeth Shue, yeah. So yeah, but it's so great to finally have something rebooted that has such great quality to it, and then
absolutely.
put it up for the world to see. And it's it's interesting being on a big, like a worldwide scope now, and So the minute that happened, I went to Netflix and I changed the audio language, like
So you could
and so
hear
I listened to
yourself in like a
myself.
few different
Yeah,
languages. Yeah.
I listened to myself in like 10 different languages. Um, but yeah, man, like me in it or not, it's like going to Netflix is one of the best things that can happen to these guys, especially when you think about someone like Ralph Macchio and Billy Zabka, for
Yeah.
them to be pouring the energy that they're pouring into and then get this in return. It's just great.
Yeah. So what was your experience like on Vampire Academy?
Yeah, that was that was a project that a couple of friends were doing. They were film students at up in Gainesville. They were doing it was like an officially unofficial fan series, um, and it was just kind of like putting this universe from books, up onto screen, and
Yeah.
putting people in these characters, and just kind of sort of toying around with what could the dialogue be between these particular people, and like how could we put our own spin on things. And it was really really great for them to be able to produce something like that. And they did it all out of their school and all out of the equipment that they were allowed to use. And I made some of the best friendships to this day that I've ever had through that project. And I think within the past year, it's the actual Vampire Academy reached out to them, and I feel like they're sort of like on thin ice with some copyright stuff.
Yeah.
I need to ask some people again. But yeah, like my one of my best guy friends, I met him doing that, and that was just really good too, because I didn't have too much on camera experience,
Yeah.
and that just really helped with that. Yeah, so that was like a really great stepping stone for me working on
Yeah.
that school project.
Yeah. So what was it like? You were in a documentary of some type of homicide, right?
Yeah, so I was, and if you're going by IMDb, there was something that was added recently that I was not in, and I'm like looking into getting that changed because I feel like maybe someone made a mistake. But I did do a investigation discovery channel. There was a show called Homicide Hunter. Um, yeah, and I play this guy who, like, he's got some great friends who live below him, and
Yeah.
they get robbed and shot, and so I run down to check on them, and then the police question me, um, and they shot that in Knoxville. They shoot a lot of those shows in Knoxville or in Tennessee, and some of them in Canada and Colorado. But that's great. I mean, there's so much freedom to be had on a show like that, even though it's based on a true story.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of because it's like you're retelling it, but there's so much of it that's sort of like the information is put out there, but we can sort of, as the actors, you can kind of play it in a way that's very loose. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that channel exists and that kind of material exists, because there's a lot of it now. If you haven't checked out like one of those channels that do that, there's so
I've
much
seen
of
a
that.
couple of things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was really fun. Yeah, and that was actually I had in mid 2019, I had kind of a major surgery. I had brain surgery, and that I actually shot that maybe within 2 months after that.
Wow.
So I was, yeah, so it was kind of like a test. I was sort of testing myself of like, am I able to get back up on my feet and like do
Yeah.
something like this? And I was, running around and doing all this stuff in the scenes. So yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. What was it like to work on Brockmire? I don't know if I'm mispronouncing that, but
No, yeah, Brockmire. Yeah, Hank Azaria. Hank Azaria is a legend, and he's, I think one of the first things I saw him in is a movie called The Birdcage. If you've seen that, so funny. Robin Williams, Nathan Lane. my mom's like obsessed with that movie, and so she
Yeah.
showed that to me like when I was really young, too young to watch it. But he's in that, and he is outstanding in that movie. But he's voiced so many different characters,
Yeah.
and animated things that I've loved over the years, and um, and that doesn't even scratch the surface. I mean, just
Yeah.
sort of watching him in anything, and then I started watching this show when I started seeing that it was filming here, so I was watching like the first and second season. And then I got that audition, and I think it was the same thing as Cobra Kai. They booked me right off tape,
Yeah.
and I sort of went back to the script and realized, yeah, it was with Hank Azaria, and he is so friendly. It's like identical to the Billy Zabka situation where rode with him to set. He wanted to know my name. He wanted to be comfortable with me. Me and my scene partner Cole. We just spent a lot of time talking about just really nothing, just kind of bonding with each other, and that's funny because in terms of how it was filmed, it was really similar to Cobra Kai 2 because it was exterior and we did it in about 4 hours, which is kind of unheard of. And he just wanted to make sure everything was running fluidly, and
Sure.
there were no hiccups, and that's always great too. Exterior, you got to worry about ambulances and the weather and all that stuff. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was right outside of Turner Field, or what used to be Turner Field, where the Braves used to play. So it's kind of cool going back down there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was great.
What's your favorite project you've worked on so far?
I hate to say Cobra Kai and kind of
Yeah.
like sucking up to it. I mean, Cobra Kai, but then there was also worked on a movie called Summer '03, and I really love that script, and I got to work very closely with the director and Becca Gleason. She's so great. Because she wrote it and directed it, and I hate reading scripts, but I blew through that script because I loved it so much. Got to work closely with Joey King, who's working in like an insane amount right now. But she's very, very cool, very down to earth. And again, it's like the same thing. It's like she wanted to make sure that I was comfortable and was being, very, very friendly with me. And then I made a really good friend on that set too. My friend Kelly, she's great. She's one of the leads in that. And it was a night shoot, and it was like a party, and I was kind of tipsy in the scene. That was actually my first union job. So I feel like all of that just kind of helped to make it really special.
Yeah.
But if not that one, then definitely Cobra Kai.
Yeah. What's your dream role?
Like a specific role, or just like a type of role?
Type of role, specific, like type of movie, anything like that. Yeah.
Oh geez. Yeah, well, if people watch this and I don't say this, they're gonna yell at me. Spider-Man. Yeah.
I've
I
seen
would
the
love
costume pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to be Spider-Man, or just be in a Spider-Man movie. That's kind of the dream. I've been a Spider-Man fan since I was a little kid, and so excited for that. That's another thing about talking about reboots and remakes. With this new movie, this new Spidey movie coming out, with the rumors about the old Spider-Man coming back and everything. And Marvel never misses, so I'm just really excited for that sort of kind of a reboot in that regard, and just really excited for that to land well. But yeah, if I could play Spidey or something related to Spidey in any capacity, that'd be amazing.
Have you seen all the Karate Kid movies?
I've seen 1 and 2, and the reason that I didn't see 3 when I was younger, and it's I really didn't watch any of them fully until I was in high school.
Yeah.
And it's not that I wasn't interested. I guess I just wasn't really exposed to them.
Yeah.
But so I watched the first couple, and then whenever I hear, and this is my problem too, whenever I hear mixed reviews on something, I watch a recap or something.
Yeah.
And so, the third one had some mixed reviews, or at least from the people that were telling me about it.
Yeah.
So I just said, well, I guess I'll just kind of, I know what it's about. I know what happens. Um, and the whole Terry Silver thing. But it's funny because my girlfriend and I were watching Cobra Kai, and we were watching some recaps of all the movies. Well, we watched the
Yeah,
first one in its entirety, and then watched recaps of 2 and 3. And there's a YouTube page of this guy called the Distracted Nerd,
I've heard
uh,
that. Yeah,
and he does these recaps that are really informative, but also really funny at the same time. And it's kind of like Cinema Sins, but you get more context. And that guy's hilarious. Um, but yeah, so I watched 1 and 2, and then I don't think to this day I've seen 3 in its entirety. But then I'll be honest, the Hilary Swank one, I don't have. I mean, I have context on it, but there's not much of it that I've seen at all.
yeah, it's on
Um,
Netflix, but I'm not a huge fan
yeah,
of it. I mean, it's okay, but
yeah, same thing. I've heard mixed reviews, so then I just kind of have an aversion naturally.
yeah,
But I know, I know it's like anything that Pat Morita or these creators are making. It's like it's great, it's gold. Um,
yeah,
but I especially love that second movie, sort of elaborating more on
yeah, for
Miyagi.
sure. Yeah, part three's good. It just has some plot holes, but when you get to the third movie in a franchise, it's kind of hard to.
Exactly, yeah.
But
Um,
when it comes to Cobra Kai, are you Team Cobra Kai or Team Miyagi Do or like team combined? I guess now.
Man, yeah, it's like I feel like I would have said something different every season.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree with that for sure.
and it's like I guess first season was just Robbie, um, but I don't know. I feel like me, Travis, is that as me as Travis. I feel like I'd be Team Cobra Kai, but then I feel like college guy, my character. I feel like he'd be Miyagi Do if he had to choose. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like I'd say Cobra Kai if it's pre season 4 where they're still kind of split.
Yeah,
Um, but then it's like Eagle Fang. Maybe I'd be a fan of Eagle Fang.
yeah,
Um, yeah, Cobra Kai. There's just a lot of heart in it, and the way that they set it up with Miguel, with these humble beginnings, and Aisha, and where there's a lot of heart. It's something that's always been very gritty and very aggressive, but then you've got all
yeah,
this heart in it too, and it comes from such humble beginnings. So I'd probably say Cobra Kai.
yeah. What do you think about Terry Silver? Well, I think he's coming back. It's pretty, especially with the
Yeah,
leaks.
yeah, I think they laid that out pretty well. Um, I don't know. I'm excited to see what they've done because I feel like up to this point, in terms of doing something like that, where they're sort of rebooting a character,
They're doing
um,
a great job with it.
yeah, everything lands. I don't know of anything that has kind of fallen flat or just hasn't worked, or it's like, oh, I wish they hadn't done that. And so here's the thing. I got really nervous about them bringing back Allie, Elizabeth Shue, because it's like,
Yeah, because it seemed like it'd be forced.
yeah, it's going to be forced. What are they gonna do with the whole with Miguel's mom? What's that gonna create? Is that gonna create some kind of love
For sure.
triangle? But then they did it so perfectly, and the way that
Absolutely.
they used Allie, it's like she was in and out, like she served a purpose, and then she came out very gracefully. So I think I have high hopes for the Terry thing. But he was kind of a cartoon character in the third
Yeah,
movie. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But
yeah.
again, they're just they got more funding. They've got all this.
Especially with Netflix now, especially. Yeah,
Yeah, they got all this momentum coming off of these other seasons that I feel like they can miss. So I think it'll be good. I think it's going to be funny to a good degree. But then also, it's like there was almost a fight to the death at the end of the spoilers at the end of the
yeah,
third season. So it's like it will be serious, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of comedic relief or lighthearted moments with them in season
yeah,
4. So I'm really excited to see that.
yeah. Is there any upcoming projects that you can talk about?
Um, COVID has affected
Shut
people
down and
differently.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah, and I have a lot of friends who are actors who are working a lot, and I got a friend who's a voiceover guy who's like working like crazy. And for me, it's been a really slow season. I did. So I was the lead in a pilot this past fall. It's in. I don't know how much they would even want me to say about it. What I can say about it is that it's in such early stages that I'm yet to know what's going to happen with it because
Yeah.
we shot it. It's the beginning of this potential series, or they might even try to turn it into some kind of feature. Who knows? But and I loved it, and it was shot very well, and it was directed very well, and it's sort of this really gritty drama, really
Yeah.
in the direction of Ozark. But yeah, it's in such early stages that it's not unionized. Someone could buy the script and reshoot it, or it just depends on what happens with funding, and if some kind of platform wants to pick it up. So that's in the works. But then I've kind of been lighting my irons in several fires recently, and
For
just
sure.
to kind of keep going, just kind of keep the
Yeah.
momentum running. But yeah.
Oh yeah. So I got one more question.
Okay.
What was your favorite part of season 3?
Oh man, it's like every episode just got better, which is great to think about, because when you even great shows, like if you think about Breaking Bad or something,
Yeah.
there's or Ozark, all these really great shows. There's always like a filler episode, or just kind of an
Yeah.
episode that's like it sort of ends where it began in terms of where the plot is.
Yeah.
And so that's always kind of frustrating when it's like, maybe we did need this flashback, or maybe we did need all this info dump or something. But yeah, but then with this season, there really wasn't like a slow moment.
Yeah.
It's
It
kind of
continues
like,
on. Yeah.
yeah, and even when they slow the pace from something, it's like these amazing things happen. Like when Daniel goes to Okinawa. It's like, it's very subdued. It's very, everything's very, very soft and slow, but it's, it was like better than the last episode. I feel like, oh man, it's either between his episode with Chosen, or that final, you know what? No, I'm wrong. I'm going to say that last episode,
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. That was.
because not only the fight with Kreese at the end, I mean, that was amazing. But the fight, the fight in the LaRusso
Yeah. The
home,
multi-million-dollar house. Yeah.
that, like, it's I'm so in TV and film, like, I'm a sucker for the long takes.
Yeah.
I just, even if it's bad, I'm like, wow, this is brilliant. Because it's so hard to do, and it's like it's almost like doing, maybe it's like because of my stage background, maybe it's like having a sequence or something with a project where it's like it's got to be everything on its toes, like for a very long extended amount of time, and then like you do your part and then you sort of hide.
For sure. Yeah.
And they were like breaking the fake glass, and throwing people around, and tables were breaking, and just that long extended shot alone was great. But I actually so I help my acting coach Zane Stevens. I help him with one of his other classes, and he does like some younger kids. And I have worked with Nate O, but then more often I work with Owen Morgan,
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah.
and I see him pretty much every Monday. But he's man, he is so great, like so humble, and like you wouldn't even know that like he does anything. Like he's just
Yeah.
kind of like in terms of like this exposure. He's just really good at what he does. Like he knows where he fits in, and he takes notes well. And he so I finished season 3, and I came to the class
Yeah.
as a fan, and I was like, hey man, you gotta tell me about that fight scene in the
Yeah.
LaRusso
Yeah.
house, because he was very much in that. Like he's somebody Hawk, somebody like flipped him over their back, and like he kicked somebody in the
Yeah.
face.
One of the
Um,
Cobras threw Bert through the window.
yeah, right before it. Yeah, when
Yeah.
he heard the cat outside, or like, yeah, the pretending to be the cat. But he told me that there was in a long take like that, where there's so much going on and it's like the camera's whipping around
Yeah.
everywhere and there's glass and everything. He said there were so many stunt people that were coming in and out, but it's like they had to time it perfectly so that they could hide and then come back out. And I'm just like, I'm enamored with stuff like that. It's just really cool to be able to talk to Owen about it. But yeah, that was definitely my favorite part. That might be my favorite part of the whole show if we're talking about, like making the show. But yeah, definitely that last episode.
Yeah. I think there was a cutout scene of them teaming up, actually. I heard that. I don't know if that was true.
Of
Nate
of
and
oh yeah. Yeah. Because you had at the end of season 2, you had their square off.
Yeah.
And so that would make sense. Yeah, I didn't hear that from him, but I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, because that'd be cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for coming on. It was great to be able to speak with you.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, have a good one.